Porsche's Macan compact crossover is all new for 2025 with one massive change. Does it ruin this car? What's up, folks? I'm Dave Undercoffler, editor-in-chief of Autolist.com, a sister company to CarGurus. This is the Porsche Macan, redesigned from the ground up for this second generation with crisp new styling on the outside, new tech on the inside, and a new price tag to boot. But the big news is that this new version of Macan is all electric. There is no gas version available. So how does that change affect the Macan, which is Porsche's most popular model globally? Let's go spend some time with this and find out. But before we do, be sure to like and subscribe to this channel so you can get alerts on all of our future updates. All right, we're gonna start by taking a look at the exterior of this new Macan, but before we do, a couple of housekeeping notes. If you do like the size of this Macan, but you're not ready to go full electric, Porsche is still selling the previous generation of the Macan, and that comes with several different gas engines. If you do wanna step up to this full electric, all new generation, there is a price bump though. The base model of this Macan starts at about $13,000 more than the base model of the gas Macan. So if you wanna go electric, you're gonna have to pay for it. The new Macan starts at about $77,000. The version we're testing here is the 4. That means it's all-wheel drive. The base model is rear-wheel drive. But this car we're testing today with all of the options is about $90,000, and that does include destination. Sitting above this trim is the 4S, and then at the top of the Macan range is the Turbo. All right, now to the exterior, and I love what Porsche has done with this second generation Macan. I think it looks great. It looks crisp, it looks futuristic, but not too weird. A little more mainstream than maybe the Taycan all-electric sedan that Porsche sells, but it definitely ties itself with the rest of the lineup. So I think this is a great looking EV, potentially one of the better looking ones on the market. What do you guys think? How do you like the styling? Be sure to let us know in the comments below. One other thing about this front end, everyone always wants to know on an EV, is there a frunk? Yes, this one has one, but it is certainly small, nowhere near the size of the one on Tesla's Model Y. Turning to the side, let's talk about dimensions. The wheelbase on this is up 3.5 inches over the gas original generation of the Macan. It's also about 2 inches longer overall and 1/2 inch wider. Another thing I want to point out is the profile of this. The silhouette is really pretty extreme. This is almost like a sportback crossover, and that's going to eat into cargo space. We'll talk about that in a little bit. Finally, at the back, you've got this horizontal light bar running across here. I think that's really cool. You've got Macan 4 badging. Again, we're in the all-wheel drive version. There never says anything about being electric back here, but there is an electric badge on the front fender. And then finally, hidden right here, this is actually a spoiler that will deploy at certain speeds if you have the car in a certain driving mode. All right, let's talk powertrains. All Macan EVs come with the same battery. That's a 100 kilowatt hour battery. The base model Macan EV is just rear wheel drive. It's a single motor. The version we're testing today is all wheel drive. It has 2 motors that make a total of 382 horsepower, although there is an overboost function that will pop that number up to 402 for brief stints. It'll do 0 to 60 in 4.9 seconds. Torque on this thing is 479 pound-feet. Range on this Macan 4 is 308 miles per the EPA, and it will charge at a max charging speed of 270 kilowatts. Finally, one thing I do want to point out is that it has not yet adapted the NACS charger. That's the Tesla-style charger that most automakers are starting to use now. This still has the old school CCS. All right, now to the interior of this Macan, and this is probably the biggest disappointment of this entire car. It's a great car overall, but for the money that this car costs, this does not feel like a $90,000 interior. It's perfectly nice, it's very comfortable, and I like the way everything is laid out, but nothing about it says 90 grand. This is maybe a $55,000, $65,000 interior at best, so that is pretty disappointing. But nothing about it is inherently bad. Some highlights, you've got a 10.9 inch screen here for the infotainment system. This has wireless Apple CarPlay, wireless Android Auto connectivity. It's a great screen, very quick and responsive to your touches, very bright. I like that. And then here you have a 12.6 inch digital display, and this is fully configurable. You can have a map set up the way I do right now, or various other different configurations. So I like that configurability. It's pretty cool. Down below, you have the climate control functions, and I love that there are still buttons and knobs for this rather than going to a full touchscreen. It also has haptic feedback, so when you touch some of these buttons, you do hear a little bit of a sound, and the screen itself actually kind of gives way so you know you hit it. And then below that, you've got a physical volume knob. So again, everything is where you would expect it to be. It's a nice interior, but it's not $90,000 nice. A couple of other goodies on our Macan: heated seats up front. We've got a heated steering wheel and a really nice panoramic moonroof. And then we've got some options on this car as well. These seats themselves are optional seats. They're comfort seats, really nice bolstering. They're very comfortable and they're ventilated. And then finally, we've got an optional Bose sound system. Really sounds pretty great. In terms of connectivity, we've got a wireless smartphone charging pad right in this compartment. I love where that is. You also have a pair of USB-C charge ports, but they're really hard to get to. There's like a storage cubby down here. I can't really see it from where I'm sitting. Hard to get to, but they are down there. And then finally, if you want to, you can add a digital display here for the passenger. We don't have it, but it's an option on most trims. One more thing I want to point out, if you've been in another Porsche recently, maybe a 911, this shifter is going to look pretty familiar, except it's down here. But yeah, this is where you would shift the car. You've got a button for park. To put it into gear, you just push this down. And also the car turns on automatically, kind of like a Tesla, so you don't need to use the start button. But if you do, just like old school, Porsches have always had the ignition over here on the left. Now there's just a button for it. All right, now to rear seat space. And if you've seen our videos before, you know the drill. I put the front seat to where I would have it if I'm sitting up there. I'm 6'1", and basically I'm sitting behind myself. And as you can see, it's got good leg room, good room for my legs, feet, knees, all of that. It's where headroom gets a little tight. And that's where earlier I was showing you the silhouette of this car. The profile is kind of sport back almost. So when I sit upright, yeah, we're definitely running into some headroom issues, but you can slouch down a little bit. It's not too bad. A couple of other goodies. We've got optional 4-zone climate control. So each of these seats has its own climate control down here. That's pretty cool. We also have optional heated seats back here. So you've got a lot of ways to stay comfortable. That's pretty cool. Finally, if you need to charge your devices, you also have a pair of USB-C charge ports down here. All right, let's take a look at cargo space, but before we do, I just want to point out this rear wiper is not standard. This is a $370 option, just something to consider. Remember, Porsche loves to charge you for all the little things that maybe you think would be standard, but nope, that's extra. So let's talk cargo now. Buttons right there to open it up. Decent amount of cargo space. It's down a little bit from the previous generation when the seats are folded, but with the seats up, it's actually up in terms of cargo space just a little bit. But again, the usability of this space is compromised a little bit because you have this really sloped profile. But if you do need more space and want to fold the seats, they are split 40-20-40. They fold really easily with the pull of this lever. That's kind of nice. One other nice trick in the back of this Macan, there's a 115 volt outlet. That's a standard household outlet back here. That's pretty cool, but like every other option on a Porsche, that's not free. That's a $160 upcharge. All right, now to the driving impressions, and this is where the Macan EV really shines, which is what you'd expect, right? This is a Porsche. It should feel engaging, super fun in any scenario, and it lives up to the billing. One of the many things I like about how this car drives is the air suspension. All Macan EVs come standard with an air suspension, but it's really nicely tuned so that any scenario you find yourself in, it's going to be comfortable. So whether you're driving around city streets that are pretty rough and bumpy, or you're out on the freeway or a twisty mountain road like we're on right now, any scenario you are in, this suspension is going to be comfortable. It's going to give you really good feedback from the road. Nothing is jarring. And it's also comfortable no matter what drive mode you have the Macan in. So you've got this knob here on the wheel, so you can go from normal to sport and sport plus. Even in sport plus, when it's got everything turned up to 11, it's still a comfortable car to drive. It's not like it's super jarring or the fillings of your teeth are going to fall out. So I love that. Any scenario, this is a great, comfortable car to drive. Power is pretty good. It's got 382 horsepower. 402 on a short-term overboost function. That's great power in most situations. I will say, when you do get on the freeway and you absolutely floor it, and you think, maybe I'm in this $90,000 Porsche electric vehicle, it's gonna snap your head back. It doesn't quite do that. I think for that experience, you've got to step up to the more expensive turbo version. But otherwise, everything about this Porsche just feels really good on any road. The steering has nice feedback to it. It's not too heavy. It's also not too artificial feeling. The model we're testing actually has the optional rear wheel steering, so that adds to the handling prowess of this vehicle, just sort of dials everything in a little bit more. That's a feature Porsche uses to really good effect on its 911 classic sports car, and they've done really good tuning on this Macan as well, so that's a pretty cool feature. The brakes also feel very nice. They're not too artificial. Some EVs won't give you the same kind of feedback as you'll find in a gas-powered car. Here they feel exactly the same, and that's a good thing. There is some regenerative braking. It's really sort of two modes. You can either turn it on or off. When you do have it on, it's pretty light. This isn't one of the vehicles you're going to get in and it's going to be sort of that one pedal driving. You adapt to it pretty quickly, but just in case you are looking for that experience, this Macan doesn't offer that. And then in terms of wind noise and road noise, this is a very quiet, comfortable car. Even though you have the larger wheels, we've got 20-inch wheels on our tester and slightly lower profile tires. It's not jarring, it's not loud, very comfortable on the interior. When it comes to visibility, it's good, but it's not great. Because of that sloping profile we showed you earlier, it is a little tight to look out the rear window. You also have a pretty big B-pillar right here over my shoulder. So it's, like I said, it's good, not great. I will say the view out the front is a pretty good one. Another cool little trick up this Macan sleeve is a feature I didn't even know was on here until I saw it in action. So what it does basically is it uses these ambient lights, this accent lighting on the interior, but it uses that to warn you basically as a blind spot monitoring system. So when there's a car, if you're on the freeway, there's a car on this side, or if there's a car on the passenger side in your blind spot zone, not only do you have the traditional indicator built into your mirror, but you also have this light will glow yellow, and that's just sort of a nice subtle way to integrate the safety system into the interior of this car. Finally, another really great feature that really sort of ties the dynamics of this car, the amount of fun it is to drive, is that the Sport mode and the Sport Plus mode allow you to sort of customize different settings. So you can have the air suspension set to low, but then you can also have it, maybe it's a normal setting if you want, if you're in a bumpier road like this, or if you're in something smoother, you can dial that suspension into the Sport Plus version. So I love that tunability. It really makes this car so much fun to drive. This is where Porsche is excellent at tuning all of its vehicles really comes into play and is the key highlight of this Macan. I can't get enough of it. All right, folks, there you have it. Our review of the 2025 Porsche Macan EV. Pros, well, just look at it. This is one of the better looking crossovers or electric vehicles on the road today. We also love just how much fun this thing is to drive. Whether it's around town for daily driving, on the freeway, or out on a twisty mountain road, this thing definitely lives up to the Porsche name. And finally, it's got pretty healthy range, 308 miles on this version we're testing today. That's pretty good. Cons, well, it's expensive. This version right here is $90,000. It starts at about $80,000. That's a lot of money for what you're getting. It's also all electric, and that's a leap that not everyone is going to be ready to make. And for those who aren't, they're stuck with the older Macan that's been around for a while. Finally, the interior. While it's great, it's comfortable, everything's nicely bolted together, it doesn't live up to the $90,000 price tag of this vehicle, so that's certainly a disappointment. So overall, we really do like this Macan EV. We think Porsche did a really nice job of putting it together. It's a really nice package overall, but it's too expensive. And that's gonna be a really hard pill for people to swallow. If you can find one of these on a lease deal that's gonna bring the price down, certainly go for it. But at $90,000 as this sits here, we just can't recommend it. So for reviews or listings of this Macan or anything else you're shopping for, new or used, be sure to check out CarGurus.com. And before you go, like and subscribe to this channel so you can get alerts on all of our future updates. And CarGurus now has a podcast. It's called The Driveway by CarGurus. It covers anything you're going to want to know while you're shopping for a car, so be sure to check that out. We'll see you out there.